Shoot me an emoji if you can hear me. Shoot me an emoji if you can hear me. Yeah, send some emojis or chats so that I can confirm that you can hear me. Um, what about now? Can you hear me, guys? It would be amazing if I know that all of you can hear me. Let me just tweak my mic a little bit. Yeah. Okay. I see Mercy can hear me. Just shoot me an emoji. Hello. Text me where you're from, and we can have a good time from here. Oh, I see Mercy's here. Evan Tinga is here. Thank you so much for joining. Send me emojis. Send me emojis. Let's go dry. Send me even a love heart. I want a love heart. Yeah, some fire emojis. I see some love hearts there. Give me some energy, guys. Thank you all for joining. Send me some emojis so I can see that you can hear me and you can see me. So that we can kickstart session today. So those who don't know me, my name is Shifra Wijima. I'm from Kenya, Nakuru, Kenya. It's a local city here in Kenya. We have been hosting this session starting from last week. I seem to be having an issue with my network, but don't worry, it's going to be solved. Amazing. Okay. I see everybody can hear me. I see Margaret here. I see Sandra here. I see Evans. I see Marcy. I see so many people who are willing to join and listen to what the amazing speakers we have today are going to say. Um, so before we kickstart our session, I just want you to drop in the chat um, Am I okay now? Send me a thumbs up if I am okay at the moment. Okay, so you can hear me. Amazing. Apologies for the lag and the delay. Amazing. Different people from different countries and different counties that are here. I see Bruce. Bruce is here. I see Carla. I see so many people and so many amazing faces that we have here, and we are eager to hear from the amazing Steve Biko. Okay, amazing. So send in the chat where you're from, where you're hearing us from, and who you should be in this live. Amazing, amazing. So we can kick start the session with introducing our speaker today. introducing our speaker today, who's Steve Biko. He's going to tell us the ins and outs of getting into the startup business and also what ideas sell in the market. So, welcome, Steve. Tell us who you are, what you do, and we're excited to hear more from you. And we know you have great insights for us today. So, yeah, tell us, what do you do?
Right. Let me start off by doing a mic check. I hope you all can hear me. All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, we can hear.
Right. Thank you so much, Shifra. Hi, everyone. Good to have you all joining us here today for this insightful session. My name is Steve Biko. I am the managing director and co-founder of NativeX. At NativeX, we help Nordic companies build and integrate engineering teams in Nairobi. Essentially, what we do is we're trying to bridge the African tech talent and global tech ecosystems. My work basically sits at the intersection of startups, talent, and product development. So I spend a lot of time helping founders, helping engineering teams, uh, build interesting ideas or have interesting ideas to market opportunities. Yeah, so I'm particularly interested in also uh, how helping and finding out how we can turn everyday African challenges into companies that actually investors can believe in and actually scale them outside there. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you for being here for the webinar. So before we get into the strategy, I want to start with something more personal. So I've seen you've worked deeply with ecosystem, product research, and market intelligence. But usually most startups or founders, when they start their journey, they try to build products directly without going through all these processes. So I am very curious, what made you decide to focus on understanding the market, the ecosystem, rather than just building the startup yourself? And I just wanted you to give me an experience of what made you realize and understand that the problem is actually more powerful than rushing into building a solution. So you can give us a brief overview of that also.
Interesting. One thing is when you think around market research, product development, ecosystem building, they are all interrelated, all intertwined. So the intersection of all these different facets became interesting to me because that's where ideas either die or become companies. So think around talent, insight, execution. They all meet at a single point. So early in my career on, I've worked with different startups. I've worked at Moringa. I've worked at BF Suma. I've worked at Club Tangaza, which is a Ugandan startup. I've consulted for Nigerian startup Conflicts Academy. Uh, so I've seen them have clear problems that they can be able to solve. But one thing they lacked is either tech, they lacked technical teams to help them execute quickly. Others had a strong team, but weren't pretty much grounded in the real market needs. So that is how Native X was born. One from that gap, uh, connecting African engineering talent with companies that pretty much with Africa, we have we're blessed with talent. We have good software engineers. We have good data scientists, experience to execute products to market or scale actual product. So yeah, that's all. That is what drew my interest in now building and trying to work with technical teams and startups in the ecosystem.
That's amazing. I love the fact that you guys are already realizing that we have the manpower, we have the talent, and they need to be connected to the right people so that they can help them scale. So recently, I had this call with one of the VCs around here in there in South Africa, and he was telling me that most founders need to start from a pain point that's personal for them. So I've noticed that so many founders today fall in love with different ideas very quickly. But you see, with the startup, they need to actually survive and grow, and they need to start at a deep understanding of what problem are they trying to solve. So, from your experience working with different startups and building ecosystems, what do you think founders should start with when building solutions instead of problems? So, what signals usually tell you that a founder hasn't really understood the problem yet?
Yeah, there are different signals that you can look at. I usually have three main things that I look at when I'm thinking about problem solving in the tech ecosystem. One, a real startup should one be painful for the founder, be frequent, and be expensive. We've seen founders building because the app is trendy, building apps because you've seen somebody at probably somebody in Silicon Valley has built a similar product and they've gotten funding or it's doing well in that side of uh, the globe. And so somebody decides to build a product for that similar to that. Uh, Solving problems should be something that is painful for you as a founder. Like I said, be frequent. Frequent in terms of, is it something that is being used on a daily or is being used frequently, uh, but there is so much manual, all the work around it is manual, so you need to think about around that. And how expensive is it when you, how much cost in terms of time and everything else. So find a problem that is interesting, but nobody is desperate to solve. For example, look at logistics sector. Their last mile delivery. There is so much pain point in last mile delivery. We're building right now at NativeX. We are helping this client to build a product here in Nairobi. They've already built the infrastructure, operations are ready. But one problem there, uh, their pain point now is last mile delivery because they need to deliver uh, goods to the doorsteps. Either we have people who are providing that solutions and probably it's expensive, so in turn it will be very expensive, or there's still manual things that you need to do during the delivery process. So look around those problems. Sectors. So right now, like having building different products for different customers, I've already seen a gap in the logistics sector, mainly in the last mile delivery. We need to figure out how to pretty much solve that. So somebody is not solving. Of course, their products, their apps, their businesses that are trying to solve that. We have Bolt that's trying. There is Uber, there is Pickup Mtaani, but still not solving that problem. If yeah, so that like I mentioned, the problem needs to go, the problem needs to be frequent, and the problem needs to be expensive.
That's so true, and I really love your points. And recently, I've been reading about how many successful startups globally are actually starting by solving an everyday problem or like an everyday frustration. So things that people actually dealing with constantly on a daily. So when I think about Africa, Africa has different challenges that they face. And you've talked about logistics, we can talk about payments, we can talk about agriculture, we can talk about education. So I've been wondering, I found us sometimes overlooking the most valuable problems simply just because it's maybe too normal or
Mhm.
too normal to notice. So I don't know, from your experience researching markets and consumer behavior, you have some solutions. And what are some real problems hiding in the plain sight in African markets that African founders have not actually tapped in or gotten to understand and know about them?
So I'll answer it in terms of how do you distinguish between a real problem or an interesting idea. So how do you find that this is a problem? And I usually have three filters. One is frequency, like I mentioned earlier. Does the problem happen every day or probably once a year? Or how often do you interact with this problem? Two is urgency. Are people already trying to solve the problem in itself? Then three is budget. Are people already spending money to fix it? So if we have three to four startups who've already built a product around it and trying to solve it, then probably it's a real problem. So if nobody is currently hacking together a solution, then the problem might not be painful enough for the larger ecosystem. So those 3 points you need to figure out around them. Yeah.
That's very true. And I've been really curious, Biko.
Mhm.
Something I've been very curious about is that many founders usually assume the problem is valuable just because it exists.
Mhm.
So some investors usually often look at something that's deeper or personal, or they want
Mhm.
problems that are actually frequent, painful, or very expensive. So
Mhm.
when you evaluate the startup idea, what are the signals that tell you that this is actually a problem worth building a company around? You can give us an example.
Yeah. Think around fintech. Before fintechs exploded in Africa, people were already moving money through informal agents. When you go to, for instance, at the border point, Busia, even at this point, you still have physical money changers with bundles of money, moving around money and exchanging money. Although they are, we have the FX points digitally there. We still have those things. So the signals you need to look at pretty much very much simple. So people paying for bad solutions is one. Probably somebody has just build something haphazardly and put it outside there, and the people are paying for it. Think around, are there workarounds and hacks around it? So, for example, uh, if you're looking at food delivery, do we have to use assume border, or is there an alternative solution to food delivery? Just giving example. Uh, Another signal will be businesses running on spreadsheets or pretty much WhatsApp. So you have all your data, financials, stocks, everything all in a spreadsheet. You have all your customer conversations on WhatsApp, all your internal conversation on WhatsApp. Even though we have CRMs, we have made all those processes. Uh, then high intensity in manual labor, solving a repeatable problem. For example, you're spending too much. If a problem can be automated, why spend so much time on having manual labor in it? The other one is communities. So are there communities forming around solving the same issue? For example, in fintech, right now we have uh, We have so many summits happening around fintech. We have so many summits happening around AI. So that is also a signal, shows that there is market demand around fintech. Mobility. We have so many companies, the like of Spyro, the like of EB, coming around mobility, logistics. Those are all signal. So the thing is, demand already existed even before these startups were there. So you just need to figure out where is your space.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so the next question I have, it's still on founders because we've talked about founders building a solution because they have a certain pain point or they've experienced that problem before. So most founders assume that if they have experienced that problem, then millions of other people have also experienced it, which is wrong. And it's not always true. So how can
Mhm.
founders test whether their problem um, is personally interesting or versus commercially valuable? So they have to have the grit or the grind to have a pain point, but also to have an idea that's actually commercially valuable to also the market and to investors also.
Mhm. One thing around the startup space and building, you need to think. You need to look at behavior and not opinion, right? So like in context of Africa, in Africa, there are infrastructure gaps that often look like problems, but they are actually markets looking for somebody to build in them. Look around logistics. I have so much. You hear me talking about logistics so much because it's a problem that I've really faced in the last startups we are trying to build. Last mile delivery, informal transport network, cross border trade. How are you able to probably work with Ethiopia, work with Nigeria, work with Ghana. Last mile delivery, your business is in Karen and you want to deliver to probably somebody in the CBD, or your business in the CBD, you want to deliver to somebody in Karen. Thinking around last mile delivery, informal transport networks, the borders. How do they connect your business to the customer? Talent infrastructure. That's where the space where we are in as Native X, connecting talent to global markets. Uh, right now, research shows that the average software engineer in the Nordics is around 54 years old, while some software engineer in Kenya, their average age ranges 20 to 23-year old. So that shows there is good activity in the talent infrastructure. Healthcare systems, very big space. Digitization, working with diagnostics, device manufacturing, that's also big space. Energy is also another space. Africa, the energy reliability in Africa is so backup power, distributed energy systems, all around that. Think around that. Those are African problems that pretty much outsiders underestimate, but we live with them every other day and we understand them better. So we can actually leverage on them and build those markets to something beautiful.
That's really amazing, and I hope everyone is taking notes because Steve here is dropping bangers. And the next topic I really want to talk about, and has been in my pain point even when you're starting the residency, is understanding the markets when you don't have perfect data. Because one of the biggest challenges founders face, and often usually talk about every single time, is that Africa doesn't have data, or there's lack of reliable data. So in most developed markets, founders usually access detailed reports about industries, maybe consumer behaviors and market sizes. But here, that information is usually incomplete or usually outdated. So I'm really curious, Steve, because you are one wise person in the industry. How do founders really understand the markets and demand when reliable data is limited?
I must say we have a lot of data around us. African founders just need to figure out a way to be creative in how they collect their data. Uh, Practical example, when you're building your startup, you probably need to talk to probably uh, 10 to 20 potential customers. You already have your customer profile. You already know this one will be a potential customer. Talk to 10, 20 of them, collect data from them, have questionnaires, have them fill that. Talk to study import and export data. For example, you're in device manufacturing. Look at how the import data around that, logistics around that, expenses. Talk to people in the clearing and forwarding department. Get data from them. Use mobile money or transaction proxies. You can get a lot of data from that point. Look at adjacent markets. Uh, Look for at Uganda, for instance. Look at Tanzania. Look at Nigeria. How they operate in their markets. You can get a lot of the data from that market and just flip it to fit your current needs. For example, if you're building tech in logistics, an example of how you can collect your data is count the number of delivery riders in a city. You can get that data. You can speak to border riders, ask them how much they charge for delivery, how much little cab pays them for delivery. Ask them how much Bolt pays them for a delivery. Talk to Pickup Mtani, ask them how much they charge for delivery. Uh, then probably ask them how many trips they can do in a day. You can do that to do an estimate of their daily deliveries. Then you can use that data and multiply by transaction value. That is data. You're collecting data by just talking to people. So doing a simple field work can produce surprisingly uh, accurate estimates if you're very much keen in what you're doing by just speaking to, for example, speaking to border riders. Yeah. So that is one practical aspect you can do to collect your data. Speak to
This is
subject matter
actually,
experts. You can, if you're building something in medical tech, you can speak to doctors, you can speak to nurses. Yeah. There is so
that's
much
so
data
true.
you can just talking to people. Yeah.
I feel like you've answered my next question because I wanted to ask you how different ways that founders can discover market insights without relying on expensive reports. And I love that you talked about observing behaviors, talking to different users, talking to borders, talking to healthcare, maybe analyzing maybe transaction patterns. So I'm just going to hop into the next question
Mhm.
because I've heard that so many investors say that founders should spend more time in talking to the users than writing business plans. So from your perspective, how important are the user conversation to the community engagement in validating a problem, and what kinds of questions should founders actually be asking the users?
Okay. Before I answer that question, probably let me step back a bit and add on to the previous question. Like I mentioned, we talked about customer interviews. Another thing you can do is do concierge tests. Uh, probably manually provide that service. Probably if you are in logistics, manually do deliveries, build a landing page and measure signups. Also, a way you can collect data, do pre-orders. The strongest validation is when someone pays for a product even before it exists. So you can think around pre-order. So founders, pretty much founders should try to solve the problem manually before automating it with tech. That's basically what I'm saying. Um,
Okay.
Moving on to yeah, the second question. Uh, Three things that matter in the venture scale opportunity space. One is scale. Um, can this product expand beyond one city or into a different market? Can we expand it into Nigeria? Can we expand it into Congo? Can we expand it into Ethiopia? The other thing is repeatability. Uh, is the problem consistent across markets? Are Nigerians facing the same problem in this market? Are people in Kisumu facing this problem? Are people in Mombasa facing this similar problem? So repeatability. The other one is unit economics. Uh, can the business make money per transaction? So, and per transaction, I mean, the things you need to look at is probably your operational costs, your customer acquisition costs against your how much you sell your product or how much you get from your subscriptions. So you look at that. You've had companies like right now we see Showmax is shutting down, and that's because they did not do proper maths in their unit of economics. Their customer acquisition costs against what one customer was paying, those calculations are not adding up. So you see that's where you hear companies are making losses. So for, problem affecting 1 million people with probably $10 in transaction is often more interesting than one that is affecting 10,000 people with $100 in transactions. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, so
So if
true.
you have Yes. So if you have a problem that is affecting 1 million people and they're paying, let me use 10 shillings, and they're paying 10 shillings, you're better off serving that market than having a problem that is affecting 10,000 people and they're paying 100 shillings.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
now let's dive into what brought us here because we've talked about how we can navigate through different ideas and how we can scale them up and how we can use different resources and data that are available. Okay, now we already have the idea. We want to turn the local problems into fundable opportunities. And something that really fascinates me is that about
Mhm.
startups is that two founders can solve a similar problem, but one can attract investors while the other doesn't. So the often difference isn't itself, but it's how the
Mhm.
opportunity is usually framed. So what makes a problem investor grade? Something that it's attractive to the investor to be able to fund you
Mhm.
that money. So you can try giving us a little bit of an explanation on that.
Mhm. So we have in that space, we also have in the investor space, we have very many but common misconceptions. For example, investors assume Africa is one market. But in reality, we have 54 different markets with different regulatory and economic environments. Even though Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania belong to one community, they have different economic environments, they have different regulatory frameworks. So the same way Uber operates in Kenya is not similarly the way Uber operates in Tanzania. Uh, M-Pesa is very successful in Kenya, but that does not automatically mean that if they expanded to Tanzania, they will become successful, even though they are in the same community. They have different regulatory frameworks. They have different economic environments. So that is one misconception that goes on. Two is investors underestimate informal economies. That in itself is a big market share when you're building a product. You need to factor in the informal economies. Two, the other misconception, or three rather, uh, investors assume that lack of infrastructure equates lack of opportunity. So, uh, and that will mean that even though we have in different markets, we have poor infrastructure. That in itself is room for innovativeness. So when you have constraints, they force people to be innovative. Some of the most interesting businesses that we've seen around, or models, have emerged from operating in different environments. For example, can give Pickup Mtaani as an example. Last mile delivery was hard. So due to that, having your probably your handbag or your shoe coming from town to your from the CBD to your place in Karen, you have to pay beforehand. Because the business doesn't trust you, and yourself, you don't trust the business in itself to send your money beforehand, even before seeing your uh, shoe, or probably you don't trust the product, what you see online versus what is delivered. So we have those constraints in businesses. They've seen people being innovative and building businesses around that. So one part that global investors misunderstand about the African market.
Okay, that's really brilliant. And thank you so much for coming in, because I know so many founders are learning so many things from you. And because of time, I'm going to ask two last questions. I'm going to combine them. So I know you've been working with so many startups and ecosystems, and I'm sure you've seen patterns. So tell me one hard truth about building startups in Africa that founders don't realize early enough. And also, if a young founder is watching today or watching our recording and wants to start a company based on a real problem or a problem that's in his community, what would you advise them to focus on during the first 12 months?
Well, what many founders or entrepreneurs don't understand is building a successful company in Africa as a market usually takes longer, and it requires more resilience uh, than probably a business in the Silicon Valley. Reason being is, one, we have infrastructure challenges. Two, our economies are fully regulated. We have so many, for example, if you're building a businesses, there's so many, what do they call? Regulatory bodies that you need to pay a fee, probably to get certified, or to get I'm forgetting the term, uh, or certificates to operate in that market. We have market fragmentation. The African market is pretty much fragmented. Then capital constraints. We don't have businesses. Think around them. Look at M-Pesa. Look at Little, what they are doing. Look at the likes of Moringa School. If you're able to hack all these challenges, infrastructure, regulation, market being fragmented, capital, if you're able to hack between all these challenges, you can trust me, you build the most defensible businesses in the region. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Steve. And before we finish this session, I want to finish up with one question. I want to finish up with one question so that maybe I'm asking this question for different founders out there. And before I ask my questions, I also want you who's listening to us live to also ask your questions in the chat. You can just text it on the chat. If you're on YouTube or you're on LinkedIn, you can just text questions that you have for Steve Biko and we can answer them here. So the question that I have today for Steve is that what is one problem you believe that someone should urgently be building a company a company around right now? Personally, I feel the current problem that personally I have is that every time I'm supposed to pay, maybe it's a till number. I feel like it's too long for me. And if I could get like a QR code or just a simple pay for me, that would be my problem at the moment. So you as an ecosystem builder, you as somebody who's been working in the system for the longest time and you know the perfect problems that needs to be solved, what problems do you believe someone should urgently be looking at right now in building a company?
One area I think is massively underestimated is energy intelligence. So, helping businesses predict, manage, and optimize power usage and reliable grids. I think that is one space they can. That is one space that I really want to do a lot of research on. But I have a number. Uh, Power reliability and energy management, that's a huge market in itself. Businesses lose billions from power outages. We have African languages, so there is a huge gap on African languages. We have cross-border payments for African businesses. One, it's still too expensive sending money to Uganda, sending money to Tanzania, and it's still slow. Healthcare supply chains. This is also very huge. Drug shortages, diagnostics access. It's still also very expensive and very slow in itself. So those are some of the areas that I'm also doing my research on and looking on how to get into that market.
That's really amazing. And thank you so much for attending this webinar. And I know you made a difference to one founder or more founders, and you're a great inspiration in the system. And we would love to welcome you back. Thank you so much. Any last words that you really want to share with the young generation out here in just a minute?
Mhm. Thank you so much, Shifra. I've also enjoyed this conversation. I think my last 2 cents or my parting shot would be Africa doesn't lack ideas, that is for sure. What it needs are founders who are obsessed with real problems. And very much capable of building teams that can be able to execute globally. So that is one thing we need to think around. But like I mentioned earlier, when you're thinking around your problems, one they need to be painful, they need to be, and they need to be expensive.
I love that. I hope you're taking notes on the quotes that we're supposed to be posting on this one. Thank you so much, Steve, and I hope you have a nice time.
All right, thank
So
you so much, Shifra. I
amazing.
really enjoyed it.
Um, Amazing. Okay. While we're still online, I just want to talk about what we're currently building here in Africa, and we are not in the cities. Currently, we are starting in Nakuru, Kenya. So we are the Founders House Africa. What we're doing is we're trying to bring residencies here in Africa. So, in real sense, our theme is usually bringing the San Francisco effect here in Africa. So, we have a teaser residency just to give people a brief experience of what a residency would look like here in Africa. And the first residency teaser will happen next month on the second week of April. So if you want to join the waitlist, not only on this, we're in this teaser, but also on the next one, there's a QR code that's put on the screen. So if you want to join the residency teaser, that's the QR code. Make sure you scan the code and you'll get into the shortlisted list for the African residency here in Africa. Okay, so if you really want to contribute with us and be part of the team and you volunteer in the community, we also have a link for that. It's going to be shared in a few. Amazing. So that QR code will take you to a form. You fill in your details, what you really feel that you can offer to the Founders House Africa and how we can also help you. So there's so much exciting stuff that we're building here in the Founders House Africa. And I feel like you being part of us will be a magical moment. Also, one thing that we're doing is we are spotlighting African founders, not for the hype, but founders who have problems, founders who haven't been noticed by anyone, founders who are just there underground. So in a Kenyan language, I would say they are there chini ya maji. So these are the founders we're trying to spotlight, people who have real big ideas. So you tell us what you do, what you're currently building, and how we can help you. What problems are you facing, and what kind of investors you need, and the community of investors that we have can be able to help you. So make sure you scan the code and fill the form, and we can be able to contact you and ask for different details that we need for you to be on board with us. So give me some emojis and some fire because this session has been really exciting. Steve Biko has been in the industry for a while, working for different organizations, so he understands the market. And we're going to be hosting these kind of sessions on a weekly basis, same time, same day. And also one thing that that's really exciting on the coming week is that we are getting into the investor's mind. So what we are doing is we have a VC. I don't want to do a spoiler, but we will be having a post real soon. But this is someone who has been in the ecosystem, funding the system for women, and is ready to show up for the ecosystem for Africa. And we'll be talking into the white fronting, some topic that has been in the industry for quite a long time. And this will be topics that we'll be covering in the coming week. And apologies for any inconvenience made on this day. And we're hoping the next one will be brilliant and amazing for you all. So if you want to join the Founders House Africa and you want to be part of us, you want to be a speaker, you want to be spotlighted, you want to be a volunteer, and most importantly, you want to be among the amazing people and amazing founders who are going to build a solution for Africa in Africa, make sure you fill that form. And I see we have a link that's sent there. Go to the link tree and you find all the forms there filled. So thank you so much for joining. Have a lovely time and have a lovely evening. Give me some emoji, some claps, some love. Show me some love before we leave. Amazing. Thank you so much and have a nice time. God bless.